Mhm. All right. Okay, we are streaming right now. Super excited about this call this morning. Lance and Tracy Smith. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. It's good to be with you. I'm sorry we delayed yesterday to today. Thank you, George. Lance and I went away for a couple days and really we dove into a lot of different topics while we were gone. We really focused on the how and the why and the how. And I think that's what our talk is about today. So I'm just going to start off by telling you a little thing that's happened to me recently. I have a girlfriend who does backyard concerts. And what she does is she invites local songwriters and musicians, and they come into her backyard and they sing. And I thought, oh, it's just so incredible. So I was really excited to do that. And it was a lovely experience. But when I was in the backyard, she had this local singer come in named Sarah. And instead of just singing, she would stop and she would actually, before she would preview her songs and then some famous songs, she would actually talk about what that song was about. And it was just absolutely amazing because she really dove into the why the song was written, what was the inspiration, and then how all of the little details. Let me give you a little bit of example because I think most of you probably know this song, Umbrella. I don't know if a lot of you have heard it, but I am not a singer, so don't laugh. But you know the song that goes, "You can come under my umbrella, Ella, Ella, hey, 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 under my umbrella." And I think Rihanna has the most famous version of that song. So she was talking about how that song was written, and it was actually an invitation. It's actually a Christian writer who has an invitation and the protection of God offering us to come under his umbrella, and that he keeps calling you, hey, hey, hey. And I thought, oh my gosh. And so as she talked about the other details of that song too. And she talked about how when that song was written, the songwriter actually picked three prospects, but they were actually performers, right? Three prospects that would highlight her song. And so the first one during that time was Britney Spears, right? And Britney Spears was a huge rock star, but when she was going to give that offer of her creation to Britney Spears, she looked at Britney's life and thought, this is not fitting. Her life was kind of a mess. And she thought, this is my baby. This is my gift, and I can't do that. So she actually pulled the offer, even though she believed Britney Spears would be able to make that a number 1 song very, very quickly. So the second prospect was, Rihanna. And Rihanna was a one-hit wonder at the time. She was really flat. She wasn't getting noticed, but they sent the offer because she thought that her voice would fit the song. And the next was Mary J. Blige, right? Huge star, lots and lots of hits. And so she sent the offer there. So the demos came back with Rihanna and Mary J. Blige. And what happened is that Rihanna understood the meaning of the song and she really dove into it. And she really created that, hey, hey, hey. And it spoke to the writer's heart. And of course, it became that song. And so it was so funny because after she explained that, I thought, oh, I'll always listen to that song. And I thought, oh, it's raining, come under my umbrella. But it was such a bigger meaning, right? And so I really started thinking, oh my gosh. And then she started singing the song, and you were really listening to those words and what it meant. And it was all about the why, why? What is that about? And so Lance and I, for the last couple of days, we really started talking about, gosh, what are we doing when we're building our business? Are we talking about the why? That's what gets people in. And I know he's going to take it from here, but I really want you to think about that. And I do want to tell you, you're going to Google that song and you're going to listen to that song, and Google's going to tell you that it was a Christian writer, but Rihanna changed the meaning into being a relationship protector. A couple, but it was written as God. And I'll tell you why I know. I went and got this book, Origins of a Song, and in it actually does talk about that it was a message from God for the songwriter. And this is my bookmark. $1 million bill is pretty cool, huh? But anyway, I want to hand it over to Lance, but I really want you to think about that. Maybe even listen to that song. I think you'll be very impressed. But really, what is the meaning when we're out there and we're sharing our business? Is it just about a product, or is it a little bit bigger than that?
All right, thanks. So good to see all of you. It's been a while since I've been up this early in the morning, and apparently I've got I've got the sun going right in my eyes. So if I move forward and backwards, sorry about that. So I can see. Anyway, hopefully this finds you all doing great. It is good to be with you guys, and it's great to see all the excitement. I've this last month or two since we've had a chance to come back from from our large event, this summer, and then we went to Asia. We've had a great time, and it's just exciting to see. I think a lot of the changes that Justin are doing are fantastic. There's a lot of you that are doing activity, you're shooting out messages, and there's a lot of activity going on, and I'm very, very excited about that. But I wanted to take a few minutes this morning to talk a little bit about narrowing it in and improving your odds, because I know there's I've talked to a few people that they're doing a lot of things, they're doing a lot of motion, but they're not getting the results they want. And so I'm going to address this. I'm going to do a shorter version of this. I'm going to do the Empowerment Tuesday in another week or two. And I think I'm going to dive deeper into this topic because it really is an important one. It's one that we've spent the last 36 years of our career trying to figure out. And to solve this one is how do you get people to join your business? How do you get people to move? How do you get people, what is it you say, or what is it you've got to accomplish to get people to join you and actually participate in a large way in this business? Because there's a thought for a lot of you, and I know some of you in here on this call are brand new, and some of you have been around for a little while. But a lot of people join our industry and they mistakenly think that what we are here to do is sell a product. Obviously we've got great products. The products do great things. They make a big difference for a lot of people's lives. And in the 36 years I've been in this, I've never been in a company that's got better products than we've got right now, which is a huge, huge win, but it's also a liability. And I'm going to explain why in the next couple of minutes. And I'm not going to tell you to change anything that you're doing. I'm just going to throw something else out there as far as what it is we do. I figured out years ago that we're not in the business of selling products. We're in the business of solving people's problems. Everybody goes through life. They've got issues that they're dealing with every single day. And, what our business does is it has the ability to go out there and solve people's problems. And then let me just give you a little bit of a context. I asked Grok, or AI, this morning. I asked, what are the top 10 things that people are worried about in the United States? And what are the things that they think about every morning? What are their concerns? What are their dreams? What is the people want today? What are the top 10? And this probably won't come as a surprise to any of you, but I'm just going to read down this list. Number one, as you probably have guessed, number one is financial stability. That's the one thing that's on most people's mind right now. 64% of people are living from paycheck to paycheck. People are broke. People are frustrated. They're worried. AI is, they're worried if they're going to lose their jobs. People are financially stressed. Now I tell you that because just to do a little foreshadowing on this, if you're leading with a product and somebody you shot on the product, they will say this is great, and then they don't return the phone call, it's probably that they don't like the product. It's probably they don't have the money to buy the product. And if you don't acknowledge that, and if you don't realize that, you're going to think, oh, they're just, whatever, losers. No, their number one thing that right now that they're worried about is they're broke. That's their number one driving factor. Number two is physical health. And that's right up our category. And I know a lot of you have been doing posts on social media, and you're hitting that one. And if somebody's at a point in their life where they're fit, that's the number one for them, and you're posting the way you are, you're probably going to get some response for them. But even Kim said it last night, and I thought she did a great job last night. I don't know if you guys got a chance to hear that call, but I thought it was excellent. Holly did a great job, and Kim is always great. but she said, if you lead with the product and send them videos and they watch about the product, and then you try to get them to go on a call, in their mind, they're like, well, I got the product. I read the science. Why would I go on a call? And they're going to ghost you. They're not going to call you back, and you're thinking, oh, well, this isn't working. Well, no, sorry, you didn't hit the right one. I mean, the health thing is really important. It's number two, but that may not be their driving factor. That may not be their motivating factor right now. Number three is their mental health, reducing stress, the anxiety, depression. I read something the other day that one out of every 4 women in America today is on an antidepressant of some sort. I mean, you let that sink in for a minute. How many of you think that there's people that mental health is their driving factor? They have anxiety, they're depressed. They want to they want to improve their life that way. Number 4 is career growth, securing job stability, advance professionally, finding fulfilling work. Okay, that's a real big one for a lot. That's a big factor out there. And if you're leading just with the health one and you miss that one, you're going to miss a lot of folks out there that really are the ones that are going to move. Number 5 is relationships. They want to build social connections, to be around a stronger group. And see, for me, it's interesting. I had a talk with someone the other day, and they said, Lance, we're all posting about 3 all the time, and you don't post much about 3. I said, I'm posting about 3. I post about these things. My last post was, one of the most expensive things you can do is spend time with the wrong people. Okay, how many of you feel like that resonates with folks that are out there that we're talking to? And then I put underneath it, I put in the comment section, I said, if your circle isn't inspiring you and helping you grow, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. Okay, I'm talking to the people out there. I want to hit the needs out there that people are looking for. Now, I can post something about Kinetic, or I can post something about a product, and that will hit the health crowd. But I'm telling you, it's not going to hit this crowd, if you understand what I'm saying. So a work-life balance, managing time effectively, being able to prioritize work. Number 7 is personal development. People want to grow. They want to learn new skills. They want to pursue hobbies, and they want to improve themselves. That's another big driving factor. Then housing is number 8. Community, having a social impact, contributing to society, making the world a better place. And I love Kim. I love Kim because she always talks about the greater good and expanding the community. And I love that, and that resonates with some. But when you make $100 million, that's kind of what you focus on. When I was broke and I saw this thing, my favorite charity was me. I mean, my kids. I couldn't think about the greater good. I was thinking about, how am I going to pay the house payment? I don't know if I can get an amen from you guys on this one, but maybe that resonates with some. And God bless you when you all make $100 million. I know you guys will be talking about the greater good because that's what you're focusing on. But for the brand new person, they're looking at Friday. They got their check today. They'll probably get it around noon. It'll probably be spent within an hour, and they'll be broke all the whole weekend, because that's where people are living right now. They're waiting for taste payday, and they're going to spend their check, and they're going to be broke, and you're going to wonder why they're not buying you a box of collagen on Monday. It's because you haven't showed them how this will solve the problem. You showed them how the collagen will benefit their life, but you haven't solved their problem yet. And then number 10 is leisure and travel, finding time and resources. And so those are the top 10 things that are the motivating factors. And so I want you to put it a little bit in context. There's an analogy that I've used for decades about a beam. There's 2 buildings side by side. There's a beam that goes across these 2 buildings. There's a big gap that below, a couple hundred feet, and the beam is six inches wide, and it goes 20 feet across these 2 buildings. And you're on one side, and I'm on the other side. And I say, hey, I'd like you to go ahead and walk across this beam. Most of you, the fear is going to kick in because you're afraid of heights. You don't want to fall off the beam. You don't want to die. And so you're going to say, no, I'm not going to, why would I walk across the beam? Why would I do that? It doesn't make sense. And so I say, okay, well, I'll give you $1,000 if you do it. Well, probably you still won't do it. I'll give you $10,000. I'll give you $100,000 if you walk across the beam. For a lot of folks, there may be a number in there that would solve their problem, and so they'd say yes. But for most people, they'd logically say no. Now, if I said that I have your kid over here, and I'm going to push them off unless you walk across, okay, you're coming across the beam. You're gonna sprint across the beam. You're not even going to think about the fear. You're going to overcome the fear, because what's on the other side is more important than where you're standing right now. Okay, everyone that you're talking to, as we're sharing this idea, is standing on one building, and you're telling them you need to walk across a beam. Now, figuratively, we're not hundreds of feet up. We're only 10 feet off the ground, but there is effort that goes along with this. There's energy that goes along with this. There's you've got to take time. They've got to take time and effort and energy to go build this. And why would they do that? Okay, if it's because they want to have more energy or they want to be healthier, if health, and I know there's stories on here, and I've heard of them that can see some of you on this call that health was the number one, and you were at a point where you felt like you were dying, and these products will absolutely change your life. Okay, that would get you to go across the beam. But for everyone else, the other 9 out of the 10 I just listed up there, they ain't budging off of that. I'll give you an example. I got involved. We got involved in the early 20s. I was broke. My wife called me out and said, you promised me a better life than this. We were living from paycheck to paycheck. And my cousin came down and he shared a story with me. Now, if the story was, hey, I got these great products, it would have gone, boom, it gone right over my head because I wasn't looking for products. I was healthy. I was bulletproof at 21, 22. There's no health issues at that point. I didn't need any more energy. I had lots of energy. So you would have absolutely missed the mark with me. And honestly, it's a reason why we don't have a lot of young folks in our business right now. And so I'm telling you this is we need to get young folks in the business. Well, my cousin came down and told me, he said, he says, 2 days ago, you're not going to believe it. I went to a guy's house. He's 30 years old. He was a manager up at a place in Utah, at a car dealership. He managed the parts department. This dude got involved in the business. I'm going to share with you in just a minute. He'd been involved 2 years, has made a ton of money. He just bought a motorhome and left his job and had a huge retirement party, and he retired at 30. I'm like, okay, you got my attention. Yep. And he then showed me the plan. And my last question to him is, I said, man, I'm doing this. I am doing it. And I looked at him, I said, and what are we selling? Okay, I didn't care what we were selling. I didn't care what we were selling because he got me on the why. He got me why I should do it. He didn't. If he would have talked about products and talked about science and sent me a Dr. Dan video, he absolutely would never have even hit me because I was broke. I couldn't afford any of their product and I didn't need anything else. I was healthy and didn't need more energy. He got me on the story of a guy that would go out there and do it. Now, I'll tell you another story, and I love Nilbert's story. Nilbert's got a great story because Nilbert's story was he was having some health issues. Somebody gave him the product. He took the product, and that's what got him interested in 3. Okay, that is a unicorn, folks. I'm telling you, it's a unicorn in our space. You're going to have some people that will actually get in that way. And honestly, some of my best leaders have started off as a customer. But it took a long time to transition from a customer to actually see it. Eventually, I had to get to a point where they could actually see what the business offered for them before they would actually take the next step. Because most people aren't willing to go out there and give up, time, effort, and energy and do all the things that we're doing at 7:30 in the morning, just for something that really isn't, something they would cross the beam for. You got to find something that they're willing to cross the beam for. And if you don't find that, you're going to find people that will get involved. They won't do much, and they're going to waste your time, waste their time, your time, their time, and they'll kind of they'll fade away. When I know I have somebody for good, when I know what their why is, and you'll know it. I mean, I can tell you just a quick story. I had a guy who was struggling in the very beginning of his business. But he was a guy who hated his job, hated his boss. He was kind of stuck. He had the golden handcuffs on. He wanted to go somewhere else, but he couldn't get it. To take a job laterally, he'd have to have a huge cut in pay. He had bills that matched all that. And the guy comes up to me one day and he just, I'm so frustrated. I'm just, people aren't getting involved. They're not doing what I'm asking them to do. He said, I'm thinking about quitting. I said, you can do that. I said, you can do that. And we're not a boss and you can do what you want. I said, but the difference is I know why you're doing this, Dan. And if you quit this, how are you going to change what got you into it? Do you have another offer out there? Is there something else out there that you could do that's going to get you out of it? I mean, because apparently it seems to me like this is the only chance you got of getting out of the situation you're in right now. And I'll help you do it. And this is temporary and you're going to make it. And that dude became a multimillionaire years later and became very successful, but he wanted to quit. And I was able to remind him of his why. And for a lot of you right now, maybe you know what the why is for a lot of your leaders, but the truth is we don't really discuss that much. What we do is we find somebody who we think might be interested. We send them videos that are interesting to us. We send them to a call that we don't even really know where they're at right now. The reason why our sponsoring rate personally has actually been very good over the years. And here's the reason why is because when I talk to people, my goal isn't to go out there and I got to pull up my notes just so I don't go too long. My goal isn't to to go out there and tell them. And well, let me back up. When I first started my first year in the industry, this is what I did. I would walk into somebody's door and say, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. Let me tell you how how let me tell you about our business model and what it's going to do for me." And I talked about, I got involved, I was broke, I'm going to get out of it. And so I would tell my story, assuming that that was their story. And it wasn't their story. Their story, there's 10 things I just listed right there. If you can nail the one where they're at, you're going to get them involved. If you don't nail the one, you're going to find them not showing the energy, because again, you got to get them to walk across the beam. So Nilbert's story is kind of a unicorn one, where he tried the products first and he got involved. Then somewhere along the line, he saw what this could do. And I'm going to ask all of you why you're doing this. So there's a reason why you're on a call at 7:30 in the morning, or I guess it's 9:30 in middle of, I guess 10:30 out there for Karen, or 10:45 now. But there's a reason why you're on this call. And maybe it is, I'm guessing for a lot of you, it's probably financial. But some of you want to get around people that are better, like-minded people that will, raise your game. You want to improve your circle. Some of you, maybe for mental health, maybe I see BG on here, she saw a post on one of my posts the other day that, hey, you give me my life back. I got a whole new circle of friends to hang around and all that. So there's a reason why all of us are here. And my question is, how often are you talking about that, and how good are you at finding out what other people's reasons are? My most of my career, I do one-on-ones, and when I show up planning with somebody, whether it be on Zoom, I prefer to do it personally. I like to do a one-on-one. And here's the reason why I like to do a one-on-one with them, is I like to sit down and I want to hear them talk. The way you find this out, the way you find it out is you listen to them talk. You listen to what they have to say. They'll tell you. I can go on someone's social media post and tell you within probably 3 or 4 minutes as far as what this person's looking for. And they leave clues, they'll tell you, oh, it'd be nice to travel, or, oh, never tired our day at work, and if you can find out what it is that their toughest spot is and what their biggest dream is, and you can show them how this business will solve it. Again, I can walk in, any of the 10 right here, I can walk in, and if I meet someone and they're struggling financially, there's going to leave clues. They're not going to say, well, that's kind of expensive. And they're going to go, okay, expense isn't an issue. You'll walk across glass if you think you can get financially free in the next 3 to 5 years. You'll do whatever it's going to take. But if they're talking about prices, and I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you guys, that's a big objection you get, because we talk products, and these are premium products, they're great products. But if you talk about that, you're going to get many objections. I don't get those, because I tell them this. I tell them, I know that first of all, my goal isn't to go sell them a bit big, because you don't know where they're at financially. And so I want to, one of the lines I've used for years, and again, I'm bouncing all over the place, is you don't have to get in this to try it. Say, look, we've got a business here. You don't have to get in this to try it. Let's just go talk to your friends, and let's see what they think, and let's get this thing started. And I'm telling you, when I talk to their friends get excited and they start to get involved, they'll find the money to go ahead and get registered and get in, because they got a team coming on board. But I've never let that, but I like to sit down with them and talk to them in the beginning, and just, the first 5 or 10 minutes of my one-on-one is, hey, how's life going for you? What are you up to? Where are you working now? How's that going for you? I'm just going to ask them simple questions about what their life is like. Hey, what are your kids? You get a chance to see them. What are you guys doing for fun when you're not working nowadays? All of those things right there will let me narrow it down within 2 or 3 or 5 minutes as far as what it is they're looking for. And my goal is to show them how 3 is going to solve it. So if it's a financial standpoint, I said, man, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. I was broke when I got involved in this, and I really didn't even have money to get started with it, to be honest with you. But I got a chance to meet a guy who was 30 years old. He retired after 3 to 5 years worth of effort, and it made enough sense to me that I thought, I'm going to give this shot, because I didn't have a way to do it. I was stuck in the spot that I was at right at that particular point. I'll just give you a difference. Well, and if it's a health wise, I can show them how to solve it. If they say, well, I just kind of feel stuck in life, I say, well, you wouldn't believe the people I'm around. I'm hanging around some of the sharpest people I've ever been in my entire lifetime. They're building. We launched a company a couple of years ago. I've done over $100 million. These people are some of the most inspirational people I've ever spent time with in my lifetime. Okay, that's how you're going to sell them on that one, if that's their motivating factor. You got to be able to figure that one. So my brother-in-law, Gerald, is a guy who's a doctor here, and actually delivered a couple of our kids. But he was a doctor here locally. But my daughter was dating this doctor, and I sat down. My sister was dating this doctor. Yeah, that would be awkward. So, especially since he delivered him. But my sister, I got a chance to meet this guy, and I found out that he'd been, he was 33 years old, had been in medical school for, a whole bunch of years after college. His whole life had been being a doctor, and he was delivering babies. And the problem was he had a pager on his hip, And every time that pager went off, he had to go deliver a baby. And so he couldn't go finish a meal with his family. He couldn't go to a full movie. He couldn't go on vacation. His life was, that pager was stuck to his hip. And I realized that real quick. I said, well, that doesn't give you much of life, does it? He says, nope. And he says, as a matter of fact, he said, looking back, I probably wouldn't have done it. Now, why did he sit down and talk to me? He sat down and talked to me because my sister told him my brother got involved in the business when he was 23 years old and worked for 3.5 years, and he just retired. What? Your brother's 24 years old and he's retired? Yeah, my brother's 24 years old. And that's how she got him to come talk to me. Now, I sat and talked to this guy, and I told him, I said, well, look, don't stop what you're doing right now, but let's go build, come join us. Let's go build this thing, and you'll have at least the option later on down the road. And so he got involved, and he built his business with his story was my fiance's, actually my wife, it ended up ultimately being my wife. My wife's brother got involved in business and was able to retire when he was 24 years old, and it made sense to me. And so I got involved, and Gerald and my sister made over $10 million over the next 15 years. Because he told that story. And I'll tell you, when he got enough money where he left as a doctor, he had a lot of professionals, probably the most professional looking group we've ever had in our career. He had doctors, he had attorneys, he had all these guys. And 3 years after he started with us, we had a retirement party from him in front of his office where he worked, his doctor's office. And my sister came there. There was about 1,500 people that just showed up. It was on a Friday afternoon. 1,500 people showed up, and he walks out. He takes off his scrubs, and my sister puts a hat on him and says, "It's nice to be retired." And then she takes the pager and she throws it in the street, and around the corner comes a steamroller, and the steamroller went right over the top of his pager, and 1,500 people cheered, and every one of them at that point would have walked across the beam, because most of them, that resonated with them and says, you know what, we're going to do this. And literally, Gerald and us and a couple other, we filled coliseums. We put 10,000 people in an arena within 5 years of that, because everybody knew that, hey, if I do this, this could get me there. Now, we can't make claims, and we can't, but I think so many of us have got backed off so hard that we really don't talk about what the ability. I mean, damn, Tracey and I, 32 years since we've had a job. 32 years since I had a job. We bought the house we live in today when I was 25 years old. We've traveled the world. We've been to 40, 50 different countries. We've spoke to over 5 million people in our lifetime. We've absolutely been blessed with this industry. There's nothing I would rather do than what it is I do. And that's why I don't go talk about the product. I shouldn't say I don't talk about the product. That's why I don't lead with the product, because this is so much more life-changing than that. And some people look and go, well, I haven't had the success. You don't need to have the success. You can borrow the success. I never talked about me and what I had done. I talked about the story of the 30-year-old guy that retired, and that's really what drove me into this thing. I mean, if you look at 3 right now, without getting too specific, there's probably a dozen, a dozen of us that have made over $20 million in this space and are part of 3 and are doing this right now and have lived this type of life. I mean, I'm looking at Christine on here. Christine, I know she's done that. I know, we've done that. I know Corbin and Holly have done that. Mark Yule's done that. Samson's done that. I'm not sure how many of the Asian teams have done that. I know Kim, at 100 million. You don't have to use your credibility or use your story, because if you talk too much about you, people are going to ask you, well, how long you been involved and how much you making? Okay, you don't need to do that. You could say the reason why I joined this is there's a group of people that have come together. They've done billions of dollars in volume. They've generated hundreds of millions of dollars of commissions for themselves, and now they've started a company to help other people become financially free. And I know finance is a struggle for you, but I'm telling you, you got to come to Vegas and you got to come meet these people. These are the kind of people that you need to get around. It'll absolutely change your life. And my guess is a lot of you that are doing the activity, if you're not getting the results, you're not talking like that. And I'm going to challenge you to start to talk like that. Start to think about what it is that motivates people. What is the driving forces? To put some time into, this person I'm talking to, are they broke? Because if they're broke and you're leading with product, you're going to beat your head against the wall. You're going to beat your head against the wall. I'm just telling you. I couldn't afford my kid. I couldn't afford. I was behind. I owed everybody money. And so if they would have came with me and saying, okay, you got to buy this kit and it's 20% off on Labor Day. And if you would have come with me at that angle, and that's not, I know we got Labor Day and I know that, but if you came with me at that, it wouldn't resonate. I would avoid you is what I would have done, because I would be embarrassed to tell you I can't afford to buy anything. And so there's that. as far as the third-party credibility, there was a phrase I heard years ago in the space. I'm sure Christine, any of you have been around for a while. And by the way, Columbo and Karen are on that list too. I say Columbo and Karen. I know they've done. I mean, I think one of the first times we spoke from them, it was one of their events that had 11,000 people of their teammates in an arena. And they built massive teams. And I know Cindy's on here, so I apologize if I missed some names on that. But I do know that that I heard this phrase of "fake it till you make it," and I hate that. I hate that with everything I got. None of us should be fakers in this thing. I like it, faith it till you make it. And what I looked at is I looked at the people who I was working with, and they were free. They had the dreams that I wanted. They had the things that I wanted to do. They had the lifestyle. I mean, somebody criticized me all the time. They said, "You guys post a lot of pictures of fishing and doing other different stuff." Damn well I do, because I know who I'm trying to attract. I'm attracting people who want to go fishing on a Wednesday in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of the day, without having to have a boss. That's the person I'm actually fishing for. and fishing pictures is what hits them. It's not another picture of, y'all understand what I'm saying, right? I hope you do. And I'm not knocking the other stuff. I'm just saying there's Gary Vaynerchuk did a book called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. Oh, I'm running out of time. It did Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And the idea was on social media, what you want to do is you want to kind of do the jab, jab, right hook. And the right hook, jab, jab is to get their attention. The right hook is what the closer, throwing an offer out. And for me, I throw a lot of lifestyle type stuff out there because I want to be authentic. I want to say, hey, here's a life that we've got. People know us. They know the space that we're in. If I'm down at Cabo, they know how we got there. And if not, they're going to figure, hey, tell me about your place in Mexico. Tell me what you're able to do. And they go, well, years ago, I was working for a lumber company. I didn't like what I was doing. I was miserable. I was broke. And I got introduced to some people that changed my life. And today, we've been able to pass that on to other people. And it's the greatest thing for me. And I'd love to show you what we're doing. That right there, again, it doesn't have to be your story. It could be our story. It could be Christine's story. It could be Columbo and Karen's story or Cindy's story or, any of the successful people that we have here at 3, Kim's story. But that's going to resonate with a lot of folks out there because when you got 64% of the people in America living from paycheck to paycheck, that's the biggie right now. And I think as 3 as a whole, we're missing that to the degree. I'm 100% in on Daniel's vision of doing $300 million in North America. I know you guys are too, but it's not going to be the way to get there is not a customer. If you get a customer and they buy, collagen for the next year, you'll make what, 1750 times 12. You're going to make a couple $100 this year off of it. And that's good. And you want to do that. That's a byproduct. But that's not what I'm looking for. You go out there and you sponsor somebody and get a dream like I did with Gerald, and I help him make 10 million. You get someone like that, or somebody who goes 5-star or 6-star over here. I did the math on it. We don't have to go deep into it, but you're looking at, let's see the difference. A customer is about $200 a year. You get somebody who goes 5 or 6-star, you're looking at about $10,000 a month in income. If they're in your lesser leg, up to $45,000 a month in income, with one good leader that really gets this thing and goes out and builds it. And so I'm going to challenge you. So what is it you're selling? Are you selling a product, or are you selling a solution to people's problems? Are you selling the dream? Are you selling the why? Are you helping them solve the problem that they've got? The better you get at helping people solve their problem and showing them how this can fit it. Now, there's some people you're going to bump. I talked to a guy the other day. Guy's very successful, has a bunch of different companies. He's actually stepped down. He's got a new CEO that's running his company, making millions of dollars, traveling the world. He's got a great life. And I led with the product. You know why I led with the product? Because he's actually got all these. I can't solve any of their problems. He's already got them solved. But I said, you're going to want to live a long time. And so you're going to want to take these because life is good for you.
But he does want to help his nieces and nephews.
But he does want to help his nieces and nephews. And so we are going to go build with them. But again, remember what it is you're looking for. If all we're doing is contacting 3 people and sending them a Dr. Dan video that goes about the science, you're going to miss a huge opportunity. I would say this: if you would, again, keep doing the 3. I don't want you to change anything that you're doing, but if you could jump on a phone call and just say, "Hey, I'd love to get caught up," and just listen to them talk for 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes about what's going on in their life, and then send them the video that's appropriate to what their why is. If you got good at that, I'm telling you what, you'll double, you'll triple, you'll quadruple your success rate. And anyway, I took too long. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna go into this talk again on Empowerment Tuesday in a week and a half, 2 weeks. I'll put a little more thought into it before then, so I don't bounce around so much. But I know you guys agree, and I know you guys are working hard, and I really respect every one of you. It's an honor for Tracey and I to be in business with all of you, and we really want to see you guys win. And again, when you can sell out to the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of the people you're helping, and you help them solve their problems, there's no limit to how big this thing could get for you. So God bless you all. Thanks, everybody, and I'll throw it back to you, George.
Thank you very much. And yeah, we miss you guys. That we needed that what you just said. And something that when you were talking about the 10 different things that ChatGPT gave you, it's interesting. If we talk about the products, only one of them we're addressing. What about the other nine? It's why, like you said, it's true. The market becomes so small. The other thing is, and you heard me saying that before, and you heard Christine saying that before, one business leader equal 10,000 customers.
Yeah.
So, how do you think you are going to really grow your business? The other thing is that some of you say, well, some people complain about money. That means that you didn't talk about the opportunity. If they're saying, oh, gee, I can afford this product, what the heck? You didn't talk about the other part, the biggest part, especially at this point in the business where you're starting the company. Yeah, many people say, well, it's 2.5 years. Yeah, we are just starting the company. The first 5 years, we are planting the seed. And when Lance and Tracey got into their company, how old the company was when you joined the company before when you made the first million?
The company was around 7 years before I was born. And I got in 30 years late and still was able to retire in about 3 years.
That's right. That show you the blessing that we have, all of us, everybody here, doesn't matter who you are, to be in a company so early where you can create deep roots that with an income that never is going to stop with you or with your kids or whoever you receive the business after many years after we are going, our great grandkids, etc. This is an amazing business. I've been in Utah for a while, and I visited yesterday corporate and talking to Daniel and talking to Justin Cole. I see how excited they are to grow this business to a multi-billion-dollar company with you or without you. Now, that's your choice. And if we are talking just about the product, yeah, we are. I don't say not to talk about the product, but if your goal is bigger than just making $20, think about that. Anyway, thank you very much again. This is recorded, and it's very important to keep in mind that we have over 150 videos so far, because people say, where do I get information from blank? This presentation that you hear now, make sure you mark it up and you share it with other people that you are in the team that said, well, I just want to lead with the product. By the way, basically what they're saying is lead with the lifestyle, the potential lifestyle for them. It's not really the business, it's the lifestyle. It's way more than that. And the other thing that he said, he used faith it until you make it. I use feel it until you make it, but I don't like the word fake either, because in the subconscious has a bad connotation. And if you say fake it until you make it, your subconscious say, no, don't do that. But if you say fade it or feel it until you make it, the subconscious is going to say, yeah, let's do that. But anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Amazing call. And again, it's recorded. Thank you. Have an amazing day.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Lance and Tracey. It was great.
Yeah, we're
Thank
great.
you, George.
So
Super.
powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lance and Tracy. Thank you, George.
Bye. See you.
Thank you so
Guys,
much.